It has been an honor to serve on the pastor nominating committee for our church. And over the next few minutes, you'll hear from other PNC folks who will share their thoughts about being on the committee. There have been many moments over the past 16 months we have met, discussion about many pastors who would like the call to our church. But for me, the best moment was when we narrowed down the search and we voted unanimously to call Doug King as our next pastor. We look forward to introducing Doug to you, the congregation of Ladue Chapel.
You told the PNC that you want engaging, scripturally based worship services that are respectful to all, that are challenging to you, and that can energize and prepare you for the coming week. You told us that you want a creative head pastor who will be very supportive of our existing staff, who is a leader, warm and passionate about pastoral care and mission. Doug King is that person. He has a magnetic personality, is very approachable, leads with a presence, and yet is very collaborative. I would be proud to call Doug my pastor.
Hey, it's Rick Olszak with the Ladue Chapel Pastor Nominating Committee. Just want to give you my thoughts on Doug King, our top candidate for senior pastor, head of staff. He sees himself as a walking around minister. That stuck with all of us right away. Less meetings equals more action and actually more interaction. Also a big believer in slow, careful change, but also taking some risks. Certainly COVID has thrown a lot of the game rules out, and we think there's a great opportunity for us looking ahead, looking at new things for Ladue Chapel. And then finally, he sees worship as not a performance, but it's really intended for the congregation to give back, giving thanks to God, and that everybody really has a key role in being a disciple. And I think these are wonderful things. You'll love Doug and Marta. We have great days ahead for Ladue Chapel. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
I am so excited that Doug King is coming to Ladue Chapel to be our new pastor head of staff. From my first conversation with Doug, I felt a strong connection, and I knew he would be a great fit for our congregation.
When Doug King came, it was a very full schedule for him, and part of that were dialogue sessions that we would have that would last a couple of hours. Saturday morning, as I was leaving to come in, I had a flood in my basement and not able to make it. And I heard later on that as he closed the meeting, he offered a prayer for both of us in our home. And when I came in that afternoon, he stopped me and said, "Carol, how are things going at home?" So to me, he's incredibly pastoral.
I am John Spencer. Through the Holy Cow survey and the community conversations we had, you, the congregation, have given us many qualities you would like to see in the new pastor, head of staff. One of those qualities is a sense of humor, and I would like to quote the Reverend Doug King. This is what he says: "Laughter. I cannot get through a day without it. I believe God is calling me to a community of faith that values laughter." That is Doug King.
Fellow members, when you told us during the community conversations and the online survey that you wanted a pastor who cares for you and a pastor with whom you feel a personal connection, it became my first priority that our pastor head of staff would be a love-to-love-him person. When I first met Doug King, and through our last visit, I knew in my heart that that's the pastor we have called for you. Comfort and joy.
The first time that I heard Doug preach from our pulpit, I got chills down both of my arms. I knew that we had found our next head pastor, and that I was hearing the voice that we would continue to hear for the next several years from our sanctuary. The whole weekend with both Doug and Marta felt more like we were catching up with old friends than like meeting someone new for the first time. Both Doug and Marta have a warmth and an honesty that made it feel right from the very beginning. I'm incredibly excited to welcome Doug as the next head pastor of Ladue Chapel, and I'm very excited for the future of Ladue Chapel.
Good morning, I'm Rick Wilhelm. Though the process has been about 16 months, the last 3 have been very exciting. Very soon, you will vote on your new pastor, head of staff. I like to use baseball analogies and feel our candidate is comparable to a top free agent in baseball. As one of the scouts, I wanted to sign him up right away. He had a home run every time we interviewed him, from the first time on Zoom to the socially distanced breakfast at my home in St. Louis. I look forward to introducing Doug to you in the very near future.
My name is Mary Carr. I've had the privilege of serving as one of the members of your pastor nominating committee. You told us the qualities that you were hoping for in our next pastor. Two of those were you'd like a good listener and you'd like someone who was interested in getting to know us as individuals. Doug showed us those qualities when he asked if there were a way that he could get to know the pastor nominating committee members better. We arranged for longer Zoom meetings with him. The main rule for that was that he would ask all the questions. It was obvious that he listened to our answers, and it was obvious that he was having a good time getting to know this group of strangers. That time with him convinced me that this was the person we'd been searching for and hoping for, and that he is the pastor that God is calling to minister with us at Ladue Chapel.
In addition to all of the many wonderful qualities you've heard from other PNC members about, I would like to share one of the capstone things that brought me to the final decision that indeed this was the candidate. It's very important that a leader recognize what the staff and the congregation are like when they're working with them. And I recognized in Doug that he's an individual who not only acknowledges gifts and talents and skills of those around him, but he really embraces and empowers those members of his team and in the congregation to utilize those gifts. And he does this graciously and joyfully. So that leads me to believe that he will be a wonderful leader for our highly talented and dedicated staff and for this wonderful congregation that is so richly blessed with so many wonderful leaders. Doug King feels called to Ladue Chapel, and this PNC felt that God was leading us to Doug King.